You know, if you study religions and mythology from antiquity long enough, hard enough, deep enough, with an open enough mind, what you're going to see when it comes time to Jesus is you're going to find out that there is something very positive that you can identify about the existence of the stories about Jesus. And that is that they are structured on a common template from antiquity. The story of Jesus is new, but the template that story exists upon is as old as stories being told. It goes back to the Egyptians, to the Mesopotamians, to the Sumerians. My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. Very quickly right here, I want to talk about one thing. This was prompted by me making a comment on another channel about Jesus teaching karma. And a Christian man scolded me quite violently, calling me names, stupid idiot, things like that. It was kind of a typical, oh, yeah, okay, got you here, buddy. But he said, there's no way Jesus ever taught karma, you New Agers. He had all kinds of names for me and things like that. I'm not any of those things. He lives in his world, so anything that's not there, he just classifies you as that. It doesn't realize you might be somebody that's looking for something completely different. You're not in a group. At any rate, so this is what he doesn't understand. Jesus never said karma. No, he never used that term at all. Buddha did, didn't he? But you have to ask yourself, what is karma? Identify it. Karma is a word that means something. What we're going to find in Jesus' work is that he's going to use different words to teach the same thing. And what karma is common. It's a law of reciprocity. It is cause and effect, that we live through cause and effect. And that's what the teaching is going to be, that what we hold up here in this massive memories is going to continue to cycle us through life. We're going to be living through that cause and effect. That's karma. Jesus does not teach karma, does he? What he teaches is the measure you mete unto others will be likewise meted unto you. People don't interpret these and they think, well, that just means physically, if I do something to somebody, they're going to do it back or whatnot. And is that true? There might be times you're mean to somebody and they just forgive you. There might be times where somebody is nice and asks questions and they get their heads snapped off by somebody and you're like, okay, that doesn't really work. That the measure you mete unto others will be likewise meted unto you under certain conditions, with caveats. So you realize it's not what you're looking for. It has to be 100% or you haven't found what the meaning is. So when you understand that all of the teachings are about psychological processes and your psyche, and you need to interact with this, the measure you mete unto others will be likewise meted unto you. This is the judgment with which you judge things. It's the manner that you hold things in your mind is going to continue to happen, which is what? Cause and effect. So Jesus doesn't teach karma, no. But Buddha and Jesus both teach cause and effect. One of them uses the term karma. One of them uses the idea that the judgments that you're holding is going to continually reciprocate back to you. Now, the Buddha was 500 years in history. The Buddha as a character. I don't believe the Buddha existed. No, not that. That it's a story that you're going to find out is on a template, okay? Did somebody just live this template? The template is on a human life. It's the sequences of a human life. But here's what we're going to see with the Buddha. When it's time for him to go off on his own, he goes and he fasts and meditates under the Bodhi tree until he's found his inner preparedness to go. He is immediately tempted by Mara, the tempter, but he resists the temptation, goes and gathers his monks, and then heads off to teach. He heads off on his journey to teach others about Buddhism. When we get to Jesus, what are we going to see? That Jesus fasts and prays in the wilderness until he's prepared and ready to go. He's then tempted by Satan, but he resists the temptation. And then he goes and gathers his disciples and goes off on his ministry to teach what there is. They're both following that same template pattern. You can see that. And that is what is true about the story of Jesus. You want to know what's true? That template is there. Jesus is a reoccurring character from antiquity. That's why we see those similarities. When people say, this is copied from here, it's copied from there, you know what they are. But they're all using the same template. That Buddha, Jesus one. Buddha, karma, Jesus, the measure you meet unto others. Buddha also says, seek emptiness. Seek emptiness, what is that? Jesus says to become poor in spirit. Again, you have to work these through. You go, poor in spirit, what does that mean? Poor spirit. What's a spirit? How can I get poor in spirit? At some point, you have to understand they're utilizing different verbiage. The spirit is the bundle of memories that you're living through. It's what gives you your identity, your sense of self. This is who I am because these are my experiences. However, that's not really who you are. Those are your experiences, the bundle of experiences that we need to get rid of. You need to become poor in spirit, get rid of those things, or you seek emptiness, you seek devoid of those things. The emptiness you're seeking is not like a dumb brain. It's devoid of what hurts you because we live through cause and effect, and that stuff that keeps hurting is coming through cause and effect. Now, of course, they both took a complete different direction historically in society. People will follow the Buddha's teachings knowing that he was a sage, a guru, a master, that you're supposed to follow his teachings. However, when it came to Jesus, who was in his own cryptic verbiage, in that cryptic verbiage, the Roman cryptic verbiage of the day, the Judeo-Christian, all of that, there's a blend, there's a mold going on right there, a melding of things happening right there, that we're really seeing the same template being held in stories that, in the case of Jesus, the way he's packaged is such that if you don't follow his teachings, you worship him. You worship him as the person that's going to take your sins away, or that's what that pile of stuff is. I'm going to relinquish it to God or relinquish it to Jesus. So you're right there holding the material, believing in something, but you're really not interacting with the material. So the Christian man that lambasted me for Jesus not teaching karma, what you don't understand is what Jesus teaches and how to interpret the verse. You can't let it just sit there going, I don't know what that means. And you got to ask yourself, is that all the time? I've been nice to people before they yelled at me. So, if you want to know what's true about the story of Jesus, learn other material. I remember as a child being told in a church, or family members who were all very in the church, but I would say it was like a Southern Baptist background and all of that. But I can remember an uncle very specifically telling me when I was 12, 13, 14, somewhere in that age right there. He told me how to properly store the Bible. Don't ever put anything on top of it. And I asked him about books I'd been seeing in the library about Buddhism and other things like that. I'm searching. And he told me, don't ever read that stuff. Stay away from it. It's evil. It will lead you astray. It can cause you to be, like demon possession. I don't think he used that term, but it was really extreme to the point that I can remember sitting there as he's saying that, just in my head, I'm quiet. I'm not saying anything. I'm being respectful. I'm hearing this for the first time, but my head is turning and I'm thinking, bullshit. Are you serious? You think if I read something that a monster's going to jump out of the pages and grab my brains and take over me? It made me want to study it even more, actually. And when I did, I began to see so many commonalities. It's like, oh, okay, maybe that's why the church tells you don't do it. It's demonic, because you find out what it is. There's a truth to the story of Jesus, all right. Just like the truth to the story of the Buddha and Lao Tzu. They're all sharing the same template. That's the truth. I'm adding this after the fact. I thought about it, a better way to explain this. There are layers to this cryptic verbiage and what they're doing. So not only did Jesus teach karma, because karma is cause and effect, and Jesus teaches cause and effect, but then that also means that the Buddha taught the judgment with which you judge others will be likewise judged unto you. It's just a cryptic way of saying cause and effect. Both of them are saying you're going to live through cause and effect from the judgments that you're holding up here, whether you did it or it was done to you. The negative stuff you're holding up here is going to cause continual cyclical issues throughout life as a result. So they both taught the same thing, but they're using cryptic verbiage. Yeah, you have to understand the layers of it. You have to go through the verbiage and define what it is, and then go through somebody else's verbiage and define it, and you're going to find two things that are said differently that are defined in the same way. And you're looking for commonalities. There might be something like an anchored ship cannot sail. The dog tied in the yard cannot escape. The goat that is chained in the back field will remain in the back field. And you look at those and say they're all different. So you look at them and say, conceptually, then what is the same about them? And in all of these cases, the way they create the verse is you become the component part of it. The anchored ship cannot sail. I'm the ship. I'm anchored. I cannot sail free in life as long as I'm holding on to something. The dog tied in the yard cannot escape. I'm the dog tied in the yard. I cannot get out. As long as I'm hanging on to something, I can't escape. The goat, same thing. You see how that's working. All right. So you have to interpret the verses. You can't just look at them and go, God, that's a weird thing. They mean something. And they're all teaching the same thing. You have to understand that they're all using their own cryptic ways. The teaching is going to be the same. Just look for those. All right. Sorry, I had to add that in. It's important to say that not only did Jesus teach karma, but Buddha taught the judgment with which you judge others will be judged likewise to you, but at a layer that it's just cryptic still. What's deeper? Cause and effect. That's the truth. See you in the next video.